So I'd like to welcome you to tonight's here at meeting. I see you when you look at this poll. Thank you very much. As I mentioned, our program next month in March, fourth Thursday in March is going to be about the North Omaha Power Station. So I hope you will join us in March. We are planning to be in person and also on that program as well. Tonight's program, we have Glenn Pollock, who is an Omaha striker. He's a citizen scientist and amateur naturalist, and he is going to be telling us about the bird tracking station that he has helped install at Hitchcock Nature Center and about low-telemetry bird tracking. So please join me in welcoming Glenn Pollock.
I'm probably preaching to the choir tonight because most of you understand the importance of migratory birds and birds in general. So I won't need to go through the detail about how they insects they eat, but we're losing birds very dramatically. And I remember my mother, who was born 1960 in the late 90s, saying to me one time, looking out the window of her house, I don't have my birds anymore. She lived on a farm in Iowa. She just was not experiencing the birds they used to be. And it just struck me about what's happening. Well, we don't totally understand how birds migrate. And because of modern technology, we're able to come up with a new system. There's a group worldwide called Motus, M-O-T-U-S, which is Latin for movement. And there we go. It is a way of tracking migratory birds. And the transmitters at one time used satellite systems, and they had to be rather large, so only very large birds could use it. And there are modern technology now, the bird tracking system transmitters that's on the bird. Now I'm going to use some technical jargon here. Whoops. At 166.380 megahertz with pulse code modulation if you can see the picture of the bird right here, you notice on its back, there is a telemetry transmitter that weighs less than 1 gram, about half a gram. It doesn't seem to affect the birds whatsoever. Can you flip to the next one there for me? Where do I need to do that?
You can, but
The arrow.
should be able to
There we go. And here's another example of the bird. You can see a little bit better. Seeing a little wire out the back, that's the antenna. Now, this is non-satellite system, so it cannot be picked up by a satellite. It has to be picked up by a local station. The range on these are 10 to 15 kilometers. Everybody uses kilometers nowadays. We've got to get rid of the old English system. And and throughout the world, there are 1,500 stations. And we are now introducing these stations to the Midwest. Let's take another picture here. And forgive me if I stumble through this because this is the first time I've done this program, and I'm with friends, so I can stammer a bit. That makes it too. Yeah. This is a ordinary robin with a. This is a little transmitter is a little different. This one's solar powered. You can see that, and the other ones are used a battery. These transmitters are terribly expensive. They're handmade. They cost at least $200 a piece. They usually last only a year. And once they're gone, the chances of recovering that little transmitter is next to impossible. This guy is solar powered, so you can only pick him up during the daytime. Now, most birds migrate at night, so you have to use battery powered transmitter. This is the organization. It is a group of volunteers all over the world. Tremendous software writers in there who have made this work well. My expertise is with antennas, transmitters, receivers, not software. And we'll go to the website a little later and I'll show you how you as an average person can use the website. All the information on this website is wide open for the general public, which is really interesting. I like that. So the main headquarters for all the work that's done is in Canada, and they're part of Bird Canada and Environment Canada. If you see this picture, see these little yellow dots? Those are transmitter sites, receiver sites. You notice in South America, the majority of them. I'm going to switch to the next place here and I'm going to zero in on Iowa and Nebraska. We see 1, 2, 3, 4 in Nebraska at present, and there's about 7 or 8 throughout Iowa. And they form kind of a peak. They want east to west along the Missouri River, Mississippi River, and then across the state. So we get birds flying to fly way up and down, and the birds are going back and forth. And now you notice that right above Omaha, there's a little yellow dot there, and that is the one at Hitchcock Nature Center we put up last August. We are in the process. This is what the station looks like. You notice if you go out to Hitchcock Nature Center by the campground, you will see the tower there that was used for wireless and other applications. There's the antennas on. There's 2 frequency units. One 66.380, they're all going to use again via the gate here, and 434 megahertz on 32-bit fault code modulation for any of you computer nerds out there. The 434 is the newer system. It seems to work better. 166 is the older. Not only you can put these on birds, they can put them on turtles. They have put them on bats, and even they've got one small enough for dragonflies. And we're finding out more and more information. Birds don't take the shortest route. Birds go places we never expected them to go to. And we're finding all this interesting out, and birds also, we're predicting, because of climate change, lots of times bird will wind up in an area, and normally that would be the peak of particular fruit growing or a particular insect. And with climate change, they arrive there and that peak is passed. So that really affects their ability to reproduce. This, if you notice, guys, been into Glacier Creek. You notice the windmill, I mean, not the tower here. We are putting a station at Glacier Creek. That is the silo. If you look there, you can see the antenna sticking outside the silo. We're waiting on the receiver now because everything's back ordered. It probably won't be here till April, but we will have a station in Hitchcock and one in Glacier Creek. They're both the range of them is about 15 kilometers, about 30 kilometers apart. And so it'll be an ideal path. If a bird flies through the middle, going down the Mississippi, not the Mississippi, the Missouri flyway, we'll get them. And if anybody's interested in helping with this project, we got the worst part done. Now this is, how did I do that? There we go. Excuse me, what we have the worst part done is installing the antennas. We have one 80-year-old guy, 2 70-year-old guys installing. There's going to be younger people out there who can help us with this.
Get up on those ladders.
Yeah. Fortunately, the inside of this is a spiral staircase. And we just walk up to the top of the spiral staircase. It was meant to be an observation tower. Right there. And the UNO has got all kinds of ideas. They want to do some backtracking with this. And snake tracking even. They put transmitters of snakes. This is the receiver. It's made by a company, there's two companies, this is the one we're using, it's made by a company in New Jersey called Cellular Telemetry Technology Company. They're, besides the hardware, they have some great software writers, stuff I just try to understand, but I simply beyond me. The interesting thing is it's run by, the guys might be familiar with this, the main computer is a Raspberry Pi. Yeah, our computer friend knew what that was, yeah. And it worked great. Here's a close-up of where the tower is remotely located, and it's wireless connected. If a bird flies by, every 30 seconds, the bird sends out a signal. And you're on everything. Have a bit of an accident here. This is the Sierra Club. We are not professionals. All right, let's try this again. What happened? Okay, my part. What else did you people have to do on a cold tonight besides watch us stumble over each other here? Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, the bird flies by, and the technology is very similar to every one of you people have one of these. Your little key, and when you push that button, it sends out a signal that has a particular digital code written on it. That digital code is then received by the receiver. The receiver then sends that code to Canada via the internet. That is then decoded, and the researcher can then go on the internet and say, where's my bird? And you can find it, or she can find it. And these birds are, anyway, we'll go on the website a bit here and I'll show you some later on here. Did I run out? No, I did. Okay. I'm going to switch to the internet. We can do this properly. Yeah, do that. Have a computer expert come up here and help me with this, but I don't do something terrible wrong. All right. Here is the website, and that is open to anybody to look for data. We're going to go here and we're going to look at here's Ottawa, Iowa. That's what they're by the.
Hold on, Glenn. I might do something real quick here.
Okay.
I might just turn your computer audio on so you can hover around and you can do.
Okay. That would make sense. Okay. The Hitchcock Nature Center transmitter system cost around $5,000 for all the antennas and the apparatuses needed. This was privately funded, and a little bit it was funded by a group called Gilchrist Foundation that funds environmental projects and public radio and television, mostly in Iowa. We are the one in Hitchcock Nature Center, not Hitchcock, in Glacier Creek is funded by Barbie Hayes. And the rest of the other ones, a lot of them are ones called American Bird Conservancy is funding a lot of them. Some of the local government agencies, nonprofits are funding these. So it's a really mishmash of people together who are funding these projects. I'm going to zero in just, for example, we go down here to South America, we see all the little, there's a bunch of them in Costa Rica. We even can go over to Europe, and there's a bunch of these stations over in Europe. But let's go in and find, and you can do this, the average person can do this.
however you pronounce it, motus.org. And you just go in here, and I'm going to go, here's Ottawa, but I'm going to go down to Hitchcock, since I'm familiar with that. I'm going to click on, when I see you hover over and you get the little red dot comes on, you click on it, and there's ours come up, Hitchcock Nature Center. And then you go up to table. And here's the 4 birds we've picked up. And this last spring. And you can do that in any one of your ones. And you can, okay, now I'm going to go a little, this Virginia rail here, for example. We always heard that Virginia rails are poor flyers. But we're finding out that's not true. They travel a lot of ground and at a fairly fast speed. And that was one thing that was found out through this. Okay, I'm going to click on him. And then I'm going to click on, he was tagged by University of Illinois over there in Normal, Illinois. Click on the map. And that shows where he was tagged. Now let's go back up, and then let's go down the table here. And this is the 2 locations he was picked up: Kent Island, which is in Nova Scotia. And then let's go to map. And it's not going to show up. Yeah. I have to I'll find one where they just show his map, his travel. Okay, I'm going to go back. And it takes a little while to figure this out, but it's a fun thing to do. And one of the projects they're doing is with kids, and I'll show you where their kids will adopt a bird. And then they'll keep track of where this bird is going. Yes, Mary.
Are you showing there's only 4 birds that have been detected at this time?
Yes.
Since you put this up?
Yeah.
That's not very good.
Yeah, that's not unusual. That's why you have a lot of stations throughout the world. And there's not a lot of transmitters out. When you're $200 a piece transmitters, you don't have a lot of people putting them up. So we were lucky to get 4 birds. We were just excited about that.
But you can pick up all the other tag birds as they go by your station.
Yes, yeah, any bird that's on the system.
But these are all the birds that have gone by the station.
Yes, yeah. Okay, this one is a guy in British Columbia. He was in Saskatchewan, now British Columbia. He was tagged in Saskatchewan. And I'm going to do table. And here he was found in Hitchcock by us and at Flint Hills, Kansas. Let's go map. And there he shows us how he went from here to here. And we figured out he was doing about 35 miles an hour nonstop. And he was originally tagged up here. He's probably heading to Florida, but why wouldn't he have gone straight across? We don't know. He decided he wanted to go a little short route here. But I'm going to go, and then another one I kind of like here. And this is an interesting site that recently went up, and it is in Nebraska. We can find it here. Here it is in the Sand Hills. And this is in the Sand Hills. And it was put up by the American Bird the Bird Conservancy of the Rockies. And right below it are the technical jargons here, the antennas and their locations and such. And they had picked up 14 different birds, and they seem to be all the same species. Let's just click on one of them here. And let's go on to table. And then let's go here. As you can see, this where this guy is a lot of track here. And let's go to map. And there you can see his track. Spending the winter in the south in Alabama. And you can figure out, you know, by the timeline, you can look at the date and you can see how long it took him to get down here. And it's interesting how, you know, he was picked up in the middle of Iowa here too, see? But it's interesting, this piece of land is owned by the Kansas Audubon Society. Why is the Kansas Audubon Society owning land in Nebraska? Well, they do. Just don't question it, but they own a ranch. And this ranch is located out in the middle of nowhere. And actually that's really good. The farther you can get away from civilization, the less background and environment noise you can get, the better you can pick up. Yes, sir.
Glenn, we got a question
Yeah.
from Mark. He asks, are there radio stations on oil drilling production rigs in the Gulf of Mexico or any other places where birds migrate over large bodies of water?
Well, let's look. Okay. I'm gonna go back. Mark, you can figure that out online by looking here, and I seriously doubt if they are, because I don't see none in the Gulf of Mexico here. That might be a good idea. The problem is that you need to get an internet connection, and you can do it by a cell phone modem, which is expensive, or direct, which is through a wireless system, or local, which is much cheaper that way. But that's okay. But the other feature I wanted to show you, this is just fun to play with, but the other features here, I want to go, we show bats. Let's go on to resources. And I hope this comes up. Here we go. And there's a bunch of technical jargon here. I want to kill this a little bit here. And where did it go? How do I drop this so I can get to, can I drop that? Or move it, because it's right over top. Right, there we go, there we go, there we go. Okay, that's why you need a computer expert to do these things. Oh, Martha's Education here. They have, if you're a teacher or have connection with a teacher, there's great resources here. We have educator resources, student activities, find your station, host a Martha station, and partners and supporters. And people can donate to this, but it's just especially education resources. They have a whole big teacher's guide, the 3 meg sized teacher's guide. It tells you. But say what the fun about this is hardly any of the data is protected, and you can see it now. Researcher can download masses of data that they need to, which you would never do. But as a average person, it's fun. Once we get Glacier Creek up, I usually sit down in Hitchcock and I'll check at night. Did we pick up anything else? Of course, though I'm listed as a collaborator, I will get an email notice that something came up. But so anyway, so next time you're at Hitchcock, you go to the campground, just drive by and take a look at the station. There is much to see. It's all automatic. And when you go out to Glacier Creek, you see what my friend called gargoyles on the edge of the silo. That's our antenna system. And we'll be doing more and more with that over the years. But okay, that's my short and simple question. Any questions, comments?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Marla.
At what point do the birds get the, what do you call it? On its back.
Pardon?
packet, where's?
The
wire?
transmitter,
The transmitter? Yeah.
Can you, where did it
Oh, at what point do the transmitters what?
get put on the bird?
Well, that's the thing. You have, it's usually done by a group of professionals. They have mist nets.
Okay.
And they used to catch these birds and they would ban them. And then release them, but I hope you'd find the bird again, another mist net, and you would maybe, or you find it dead. But that is much more of a chance. So this system came along and it gives you many more points of picking somebody up other than just try and hope to catch them again in a mist net. But a mist net, they know where the birds usually fly and they're professionals and they put these backpacks. It's like a backpack they put on them, like you've got two straps around their wings. And that's one way. And sometimes they also put a glue on that will, after a year, it'll drop off. Doesn't seem to affect the birds long term, but yeah.
Where are these business? Where?
Oh, it's all over the well, on the website, I'll show you where they're connected all over the world. There is birds that we have, that I've seen that have been tagged in South America. And the website has got tons of this information on it, but yeah, it can be anywhere, and even in Europe and even in Australia does it too. But we usually will get South American birds and
In Arnold?
yeah,
Is that one?
it's coming. Well, bobolinks spend the winters in South America. Ton of birds spend the winters in South America and come right through here. So
The mist nets, is there one,
no,
Oh.
no, that's the drawback is that $200 tag that once you put on the bird, it's gone. Very seldom is it ever recovered. Though one of my and it's interesting story that at Glacier Creek they have put telemetry transmitters in snakes. And they found one telemetry transmitter that wasn't moving, and it was in coyote poop.
Oh, my.
Yeah, well, she tracked it down with her antenna, and they found the coyote poop. There was so that might happen too. You might find the transmitter in an eagle's nest or sharp-shinned hawk's nest or something like that. But that would happen, yeah. So, any other questions?
anything on the Zoom?
Okay, good. I hope I got people's interest a bit to go to that website and just enjoy, and it'll take you a few minutes to figure out how to use it, but there's just a ton of good information out there. And see, we're finding out more and more information that birds don't go the direction we think they do. They don't, they go faster than we think they do. Yes, Bruce.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there a certain focus on a given species?
No, there is no focus on any given species. Larger birds, for example, eagles and larger hawks, they actually use satellites. And for example, and they can get real time with the satellites. For example, you people have watched, they're very popular, the eagles have Decora, that they have camera system, all over the people all over the world have been watching. They have tagged those Decora young eagles. They found that once they fledged, they flew up to Hudson's Bay, spent a couple of years around Hudson's Bay and traveled up through Canada, came back to Decora and set up nesting back where they were hatched. And that was news to people. They didn't realize that they did that. They went back from where they I guess our Australian friends calls it walkabout, and when they were young and exploring, but they came back home to set up to mate. But yes.
How often is a signal emitted from each bird?
Every 30 seconds.
And then Mark also asks, can you zoom in and see local activity of a bird?
No, you can only see the time that are detected. It's not real time.
And I have a question myself. Like,
Yeah.
what is the range from each one of these transmitters?
It depends on how high the bird is. It's 10 to 15 kilometers.
And how long does the battery?
A year, 1 year.
Oh, 1 year.
The batteries last about 1 year, yeah. And Mary?
You said that there's been a lot of surprises, things you hadn't expected, what kind of things have you not expected?
They travel faster than we realize. For example, they detected a bat doing 100 miles an hour. And they got up high enough, caught the wind, and they were doing 100 miles an hour. And the birds travel faster, they are in the air longer, and they go to places we never expected them to. We thought they always take the direct route. They do not take the direct route. Okay. But we don't know why. Example one, Virginia rail, 2 Virginia rails were detected or tagged in Illinois. One went directly to Nova Scotia where they nest. The other one went north, way up into Manitoba, fooled around northern Canada a while, then went across Canada, then went to Nova Scotia, way out of the way. Now, why would they do that? We don't know. Their birds are individuals. All right, any more questions?
Yeah, I have one personally.
Okay,
So
go
if
ahead.
People wanted to get more involved with like the local projects to put up more transmitters. Like, what does that look like? Who would they?
Get a hold of me.
Okay.
I'll be your best bet. And through Sierra Club, if you can't remember, get a hold of me. Yeah. And if my background is, of course, I've been chasing environmental issues for years, and prairies are my interest, but my background is amateur radio and biomedical telemetry, and human biomedical telemetry in hospitals. So this fit together my 2 interests of technology. When Jerry Tall, my friend, came to me and told me about this project, I said, yeah, Terry, I can do that. And I gathered up my electrician friend, Mike Merton, who do hardware for me. And then I gathered another one of my amateur radio friends who's interested, got interested in. So I'm involving people who normally would not be involved.
Sorry, that's me.
What normally would not get involved with this. So I'm getting people involved in environmental issues, and they're really interesting. Yeah. So as people say, it's not what you know, it's how you know to find the most talented people. That's skill. If you can figure out who are the most talented people to get them to help you, that's the way to do it. Anyway, okay.
Do they use this technology, for ground-based birds like
Yes.
pheasants?
Yes.
turkeys?
Yes. They say they do it on turtles.
Oh, okay.
And there's some, when they set out, they'll put out, for example, a large field, and they'll put out receivers in each corner of the field. And then they can triangulate where this turtle is moving.
Is that all on notice as well?
Yes, yeah. There is just a huge amount of things they've done with this, yeah. And in the website, will show you the, besides birds. And then what gets me is monarch butterflies they have tagged, and oatnates or dragonflies they've tagged. But bats, of course, and they do that too, but yeah, just interesting things here. But we're just the minute technology that we get these things so much smaller than we realize. But
Glenn, got a couple of questions
Okay.
about like the receivers. Is there a cost to a property owner to have a receiver, and how much does a receiver cost?
the receiver is about $1,200. And we try to find a place where they'll donate land, such as Hitchcock donated the area. And of course, that's right along with Hitchcock's area of interest. Throughout Iowa, they're located at usually a county park or a state park, for example. And for example, the one in Nebraska is on environmental NGO property. So we usually try and find a location that will provide us free site.
Okay, so we're going here.
That's not a good location.
And why is that?
It's in an urban area,
It's a.
urban area, too much interference noise. There's too much man-made electronic noise. It would not work well there.
Can you repeat where it's gonna be?
Okay, it would not work well at Heron Haven. We try to stay away from cities, urban areas, so it is being done in Chicago, for example, there is a location, but I've dealt a lot with trying to figure out what interference noise is coming through and where it's coming from. And such as LED lights can cause interference. Fan motors can cause interference. You don't want to be in an urban area. The better the rural area, the less man-made noise, the better it works. And also, birds don't like flying through the middle of the city most of the time.
And Glacier Creek is far enough.
I know there's, Heron Haven has done excellent at having birds of many varieties show up there, but yeah, that would not be a good spot for it. We'd like to get higher up to the higher. The antenna is where ours, when we are only about 25 feet high, it'd be nice. It would be great if we could put one on top of the First National Bank building or something, but that's a problem in the urban area again. Or the new Mutual would be a good site for it. But what we don't, we'll have one at Hitchcock and then we'll have a Glacier, and they are almost too urban. But the cost problem, yeah.
And then Mark also asks, well, he comments that country churches might be great places for receivers, and then says, do trees block signal?
No,
And then there's another question, is the goal to have them close enough so every bird can be tracked pretty closely? Like, is there intent to put as many receivers as possible?
yeah, they're Iowa, for example, they want to put an H pattern. A group of receivers. We're putting a new receiver up in the northeast corner of Iowa, real close to Sioux Falls. And one in Ottawa, the one in Hitchcock, and then we want to put one in Bouncy State Park. There's just two on Missouri River now. We want to put two more in. Now we're looking for money to put one at Bouncy State Park. Anybody wants to write us a check? And because that would be a perfect location down there, because it's very rural, very close to the river. And it's kind of an age pattern across Iowa, at least they do that. And I work real close with Anna Burkhart, who's the avian oncologist at Iowa DNR. And we're also working on with getting amateur radio operators, love to do this stuff, involved with this. And I'm setting up an organization to get more of these people involved, because I have an acquaintance out in eastern Iowa that's helping with the problems. Installations out eastern Iowa. I just got a guy from New Mexico to contact me, and he wants to work with that. So a lot of the people who are setting these things up just don't know what they're doing. And they get the parts and they put them together and they have no idea if it's working properly. They don't have the right test equipment. They don't know how to solve problems. So we're trying to bring in that amateur radio community with the technical expertise to help them with this project. And we're just getting started with that, but it seems to be working.
And Glenn, someone asks, just to confirm, like, where exactly can they go at Hitchcock to see?
The campground.
The campground, like that north side.
Yeah, that campground, by the radio tower, the tower there, and that's where they have a Wi-Fi system. That's perfect, right next to the bathhouse.
Okay.
Yeah, at the campground. And then Hitchcock, I mean, not Hitchcock, but Glacier Creek will be right at the silo right next to the barn. But we're still waiting on parts. Everything's back ordered. But we hope to have it up. It's claimed that the part's going to be here by April. The hardest part is done. We got the antennas installed. So anyway.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Bruce.
Maybe I missed it, but how is the information transmitted from the receivers to either the internet?
Oh, it's Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
okay.
or you can hardwire it if you have a connection.
All right.
But yeah, Wi-Fi is mostly people use. But just like your cell phone or whatever, Wi-Fi from home all around your home, yeah, it works pretty well that way. It's not a huge amount of data that comes through it when they pick up the bird. It's just a little blip of information. All right, anything else, folks? It's cold out there.
Not seeing anything else.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to my babbling, and contact me if you wish. And you have some announcements.
Oh, thank you, Ben.
Well, now, everyone. Rebecca asked
Oh.
Glenn, how can we contact Glenn to help with Glacier Creek?
Oh, you can maybe put his email address in the chat.
Yeah. POLLOCKG @cox.net.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
POLLOCKG, like the fish, or the famous artist, G @cox.net.
And then someone does ask again, would a country church have to have a Wi-Fi system
Yes.
for this to work?
Yes. I don't know, I can see 6 antennas sticking out of the steeple up there.
Well, this people here has got all these cell phone
Right.
transmitters.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's what those funny
Oh.
vertical
Oh,
bubbles
yeah,
are
they're
on
the
their
hidden ones.
steeple.
Yeah, well, we are a little different, ours is Yankees. Chinese, I mean, Japanese gentleman by the name of Yankee who invented it. And it's interesting, let's go on a little bit here. The parts we're doing to get assembled in this thing, I'm buying the antennas from Canada and from England. And the transmitter was, well, and the part of the receivers are from, the parts are from England and then the company in New Jersey. So it's a real international organization.
Not China.
No, we avoid China as best as possible. Might have a secret bug in it that was trapped.
Another question.
I did have a.
Oh, yeah, Bruce.
It's a bit naive because I really don't understand a lot of things about this, but you say you're using Wi-Fi
Yes,
from the receiver.
yes,
Now, that would have to go to a router,
yes.
and from the router, it would go hardwired or by.
It would get hardware out through the internet. Yeah, out to the internet. Yes.
That means each one of these detectors involves a fair amount of hard wiring, so to speak.
Well, okay, for example, Hitchcock, Glacier Creek
Okay,
has, obviously they have internet there
yes.
and it's hardwired in. And we go from their Wi-Fi system to their hardwire and then out to Canada.
Okay,
So it's just like in your house.
so that's kind of a serious limitation in terms of usable location.
There is one way around it. And it goes through a cell phone modem.
Okay,
And a cell phone, you can, get internet via, if you use your smartphone, you get internet through that. Well, that goes through a cell phone modem. But that's more expensive because they charge you for the data, much more than through Wi-Fi and local internet.
okay,
So indeed, for example, the one located out in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, that's using a cell phone modem.
thank you, you explained that very clearly.
Okay, all right, yeah. And I keep learning, I'm trying to learn more and more software, trying to figure out these Raspberry Pi, something I know a little bit about. Now I know enough just to be in trouble. All right. Can we go home?
Yes.